So one thing I have to work on is the top of the corbel. I'm 99% sure it's called a corbel. I could be wrong. There's no top on the front, so I have to make one, and that's what we're gonna do. Let's run up here and you guys can see what it's like. Nothing but dust. It's been cleaned out, but this is a 130-year-old piece of detail up here that we are going to cap off. And this is the piece of wood I'm gonna use to build such a ledge. As you can see, this is not thick enough for what I want to do to it. So instead of using two pieces of wood this size and sandwiching them together to make it the thickness I want, it's gonna be a waste of lumber, and not that weight is going to be an issue, but there's no sense over weighing this down. So this one piece of wood is going to serve me in multiple ways because it offers extra. So I'm going to have to cut this down to size. And the extra that I'm going to use, I'm going to just manage the outside edges to double the thickness, because then it's going to get rounded over for a detailed edge. So I have to step outside and cut this down, and then we'll have the working length, and then we'll thicken it up. Okay, all right. It's cold outside. I don't want to be outside. Two sides are cut. This is my straight edge. So, I have my pieces to make this look thicker than it is. So now I'll sand my edges and then glue all my edges on, and we'll let that sit. And of course, I don't use wood glue too often, and I'm on the last bit of mine. And I usually keep a good stock of stuff. I doubt any of you like listening to this. This bottle of wood glue is empty. And we're gonna make do with it. That's the pattern. First impressions, it's thick. It probably did not have to be twice the thickness of the original board. Just first impressions, I probably would have been fine with just doing a single thickness instead of doubling it up. Let's go round this edge. I like rounding edges of wood. It just makes everything look so much more intentional. I want a thicker cut. I want a deeper round over, so I have to change bits out. Not too shabby. Probably a quarter of an inch too thick. That'd be my only complaint. That and sawdust being everywhere. So it's a little too thick for the space that it's in. There's no rule saying it has to be thicker or thinner. It's just girthy for the space. But it doesn't really matter. It's going to be painted white to blend in, It's not going to be a great like eye catch. I'm just being very particular about it being perfect and it being done. This compromise is not worth redoing, and I'm still going to be happy with it. But that's a lot of what I had to learn through this process of like just releasing the fact that this is the first time I ever made one of those, and it's really good for what it is, but it's not exactly how I planned it in my brain. But am I going to spend another day and another, I don't know, that piece of wood alone's $40. So like spend another $40 to redo it, you know, or rip it apart and it's glued and nailed. I ain't doing all that work. So just releasing that it's still good, but it's just not what I originally intended. I can't be too picky on things. Wow, is my basement a disaster. With all these projects going on, I have all of my work stuff laid out in my basement, and the clutter and the disorganization is driving me crazy. But we're in the home stretch. As disorganized as it is, it's very organized because I can't live in dysfunction. But I got to prime some trim work. I got the trim work that goes into the porch that needs done. And I'm also, since I'm in the motion of all this, I am doing the trim work for the main door that has not been done for going to be 6 years. And it drives me bananas that it's not done. I finally have decided on the trim style, it's Craftsman style, that I want to do. And I said, ow, that hurt. Damn it. It's time to put up some trim. I have to get this one secured. This one right here is running off a little bit. The jamb sits proud of the drywall, about 1/4 of an inch. So I will have to take that piece of trim and run it through the table saw and put a step in it so that it can sit flush to the wall. I'm so excited to have this done. There was a moment for the past 5 years, it's a long fucking moment, right? That I didn't have, I had trim up here and I brought the trim about 6 inches short of the bottom of the floor, thinking there was going to be a different style of baseboard and where they connect. Sometimes there's a dividing break in there somehow with some shape of wood. There's many ways to do it, and I don't know all the technical terms for it, but I've had the trim done, but it never touched the floor, and I've decided on how my trim's going to look and had to rip the old out to do the new style. So, long time coming project. So thankful we're doing it today. When designing this setup, I knew I wanted to use vintage hardware for this door, but I didn't realize the way I plumbed it up, where the trim sits is right where the latch needs to be. So what I ended up doing was routing out this trim so this could fit on the inside. It was almost a perfect cut. Almost perfect. I went a little bit too wide there. So what was also interesting is this vintage door handle is supposed to be on the other side of the door, and it doesn't swing that way. So I had to put it upside down. So the keyhole, which doesn't work because it does. This doesn't have to lock. Um, is upside down. So it's a quirky little feature of this door. This door I found in a garage of a house I was at when I was purchasing extra bricks for another project. This door was sitting up against the wall in a garage, and I offered the guy, I think I offered him $80 for it, and he let it come home with me, and then I cut it in half to make this Dutch door. You could see the groove we had to make. What a satisfying portion of the project. Revealing some of this. This is an original transom window of the house that I restored and put new panes of glass in. And for this house, being a 130-year-old home that is not a mansion, I think there's something to be said for like the paint being a little sloppy. Not in a bad way, but in a way of a home like this would have layers and layers of paint from all those years of trying new colors and styles. A little bit of my sloppiness not being extremely great at painting allows the house to feel a little bit, it all feels real. It feels a little bit more real than if it was restored to perfection. What's great about my process working on this house is I've taught myself how to do everything. And the roughness of how the house is and the style, it allows my imperfections to not stick out so much. It's perfectly imperfect, which is a real help when I'm not perfect. We get to throw the top of this corbel on. I feel like I'm holding a wakeboard. Now I want to go surf. All right, let's get this up here, see how it fits. Get it lagged in, and yeah, it will need caulked. Oh, dude, this is the exciting part. I definitely feel like I'm going to surf, and I really want to be surfing right now. But it's 20 degrees out. Wow. You know how I checked if I was even? My fingertips. It's a fingertip measurement. It felt good, and that's all I needed to go off of that. Intuition, I guess. It's good to trust it. Huh. I'll be damned. One thing I did was put a time capsule letter in the space before closing it up in case it's ever revealed by the next person. So here it is, the finished piece. Thank you so much for watching me put this part of the house together.